Psalm 91 verses 5 and 6. You will not be afraid of the destruction that lays waste at noon. This is the fourth category of evil, destruction. Evils over which mankind has no control, such as tornadoes, floods, hail, hurricanes, or fire. God says we should not fear destruction or any other natural disasters. They are not from God. Mark 4 verse 39, Jesus rebuked the storm and it became perfectly calm. God is not the author, otherwise Jesus would have contradicted his Father by rebuking something sent by him. There's no place in the world you can go and be safe from every destruction or every natural disaster. We must run into God's shelter where we will not be afraid of the destruction. It will not approach us. This psalm is not filled with exceptions or vague conditions as it's trying to give God an out or make an excuse to fail to fulfill his promises. Rather, it's a bold statement. It's a bold statement of what he wants to do for us. Get that into your heart and mind. It's a bold statement of what he wants to do for us. We can receive anything God has already provided. The secret is in knowing that everything for which God has made a provision is clearly spelled out and defined in his word, in the Bible. If you can find where God has offered it, you can have it. God is not holding it back. It's always there, waiting. God is faithful to all his promises he made. He didn't create us and then leave us to ourselves. God automatically made himself responsible to care for us. Men are judged by their faithfulness to their own word. Real men are only as good as their word. God is more faithful than even the most truthful man, for he has the power to carry out his word. He has the power to carry out his word. Faith is not a tool to manipulate God into giving you something you want. Faith is simply the means by which we accept what God has already made available. Our goal needs to be renewal of our minds to such an extent that we have more faith in God's word than in what we perceived with our own physical senses. God does not make promises that are out of reach. In Romans 3 verses 3 and 4, what then? If some did not believe, their unbelief will not nullify the faithfulness of God, will it? May it never be. Rather, let God be found true, though every man be a liar, as it is written, that you may prevail when you are judged. God is saying that even though there may be some who don't believe, their unbelief will never nullify his promises to the ones who do believe. What we as individuals choose to believe and confess will cause us to prevail during a time of judgment and tribulation. Without the promises of protection through the Word, and especially without Psalm 91's covenant, listing all forms of protection made available in one psalm, we might feel presumptuous to ask God to protect us. But God offered this protection to us before we even had a chance to ask. So why not ask? Why not believe? Use your mouth to make declarations. Be bold as a lion in front of the enemy. And know that you are protected from all forms of evil. God has already provided it. Just believe.